I keep my goals to myself, cause whenever I share it with folks, they get a look upon their face and their memory floats to a time where their goals and the stars.
What's good? We're going to get into AEW Dynamite from August the 26th, 2026. This was an absolute garbage, pathetic go-home show. A waste of time. It was taped earlier on in the day, basically. Just all around bad. Nothing of any importance happened. So we're going to briefly just go over what happened, and then from there we're going to get into the predictions for All In, which has like 10 matches. Ugh. And this is really, really, really bad for AEW, right? Like, this is their version of WrestleMania, their version of Bound for Glory, and it's like they're just booking just a random regular pay-per-view. I mean, Kenny Omega was not on this show at all for whatever reason. MJF was on this show. It didn't really amount to much of anything. Andrade, same thing. I mean, it's just not good. This is not good. I mean, again, this is their biggest show of the year, and it just feels like we're going into just a random, regular, run-of-the-mill monthly pay-per-view. And I know they don't do monthly pay-per-views, but they have done a lot more pay-per-views. I think they do like 9 now. Eventually, that'll probably get moved to 10. But I do think in due time, AEW will probably end up doing like what both WWE and TNA do, which are monthly pay-per-views. So that's probably what they are going to do for AEW at some point in time. So there's that. Let's just go ahead and get into this thing. Oh, boy. So we kicked the show off with Will Ospreay. So he gets a pretty okay reaction. He said it's been a minute since he's been here in Scotland. It's been a year full of doubt as to whether he come back here and win the big one. People keep asking what it's like to be a British wrestler vying for the most important title in wrestling. And to understand that, you need to know what it's like to be a British wrestler. Long before New Japan and AEW, he's been all over the indie scene of the UK, from England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, making towns in the Indies. He talked about the bruises and the scars that he had, putting his body through it, and how he had to basically work a 9-to-5 job, basically, to keep himself sane when he wasn't getting those checks, when checks weren't coming in. Then he put over guys from British wrestling like, Doug Williams, Mark Hackins, Jody Fotch, and the ones that aren't, around anymore, like Chris Travis, Brian Smile, and Scotland's own Lionheart. They got a pop from the crowd. He continued the promo by saying that it's all this is hard to prove when he prove that he's the best. When talk about being the best, it's hard to look past Kenny Omega, who's the AEW World Champion. And then he said that Kenny Omega's not here tonight. He says that no one's been a better wrestler in this decade than Kenny Omega. And he's fine with saying that. He said all respect went out the window when he mentioned his son. He says you need a new hero after you lose, but that's not happening. He said he's making promises. On Sunday, you get the Billy Goat for sure. Sunday, Kenny Omega gets the match of his life. Sunday, that stadium leaves with memories of a lifetime. And he promises you, you don't want to fuck with a man looking after his boy. And I got a good reaction from the crowd. He said that there's a debt that needs to be paid, and it's been waiting for far too long. And then he basically ends the promo by saying that he's going to bring this home. He's taking it all. Okay, so this is fine, I guess. Again, whatever. This thing was maybe about 5 minutes at best. Not too bad, but again, Kenny Omega not being there makes no sense. It would be like if, Roman Reigns... Well, no. It'd be like if Roman had a big title match at SummerSlam or WrestleMania and his opponent wasn't on that show. I mean, Roman Reigns wasn't on that show, basically. That's what it's the equivalent to. It's dumb. Like Roman makes all the go home shows, no matter how bad they are. He makes them, and it makes no sense that Kenny Omega was not here. But it is what it is. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Moving on from that, this leads us into the first match of the night. Continental Classic Cup semifinals. Jon Moxley defeats Claudio Castagnoli. Who cares? Waste of time. Way too long of a match. Who gives a damn? He wins via the Bulldog choke. Moving on from that, this leads us into another match. Edge and the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, they defeat the Don Callis family in the form of Jake Doyle, Rocky Romero, and Brian Cage. Didn't watch this shit show either. So the babyfaces win. Post-match, Christian Cage, he shows up. He says that now that the love fest is out of the way, the Bucks need to sit down and shut their mouths while he conducts his business. He doesn't associate with people that are beneath him, and as far as tag team goes, that's exactly what the Young Bucks are, which is true. No doubt they've been influential, but they're not legends like him and Edge, the type of legends that they name matches after, the type of legends they name pay-per-views after. I like that. And this Sunday at Wembley Stadium, with the tag team titles on the line, some people call it a dream match, but for Christian Cage, it's just another day at the office. I like that too, which is 1,000% true. How the hell is this a dream match? And the Bucks are going to find out the difference between influence and legendary. Matt Jackson mentions that if he's ever had a company named after them. And then he said last week they accidentally super kicked Christian in his face, but if he keeps talking down to them, it won't be an accident. So Christian Cage low blows Matt Jackson, then Nick hits a super kick, and then Edge hits a spear onto, I think it was Nick. Yeah, it was Nick, and then Edge and Christian stand tall with the tag team titles. Who really cares about this? It's not really all that important to me, in my opinion. I don't care about this at all. I really don't. Moving on from that, this leads us into Willow Nightingale. She was out next. So she's attacked by Mercedes Moné. So Willow says she won't get to speak tonight, and this is her last Dynamite as champion. She took her chance away to speak to the fans, and she's going to take her hand. So she gets beaten up by Mercedes, basically, pretty much. I don't care about this at all either. Moving on from that, this leads us into Mark Davis backstage with Don Callis for whatever reason. Don Callis says whether it's Kenny Omega or Will Ospreay champion coming out, basically Mark Davis has drawn that number. My bad. Mark Davis has drawn a number that if he gets into the Casino Gauntlet, will ensure he gets the title match and brings the world title to the Don Callis family. Okay, whatever. Who gives a damn? Moving on from that, this leads us into Andrade Idolo. He shows up. Not really, though. It's actually Max. MJF shows up. So MJF makes fun of Andrade and everything else and all that jazz. Calls him Andrew and all that for whatever reason. He mocks him for wearing a bunch of fake jewelry and all that jazz. He wanted to do the Andrade, kiss a female fan type of thing plant. Didn't happen. So, there's that. Andrade attacks MJF from behind from the crowd, and him and Max have a stare down, and that was it. So, whatever. I don't care about this at all either. Again, I'm excited for the match, but I just don't care about what they're doing storyline-wise. I don't. The fact that this couldn't just be just a regular one-on-one match at All In is a damn travesty. But at this point in time, it is what it is. Nothing can be done about it. Moving on from that, Chris Jericho, he's backstage. He puts over AEW saying that this is the biggest week in AEW history and all that jazz. And he says that he's going to enter into the Casino Gauntlet. And on Collision, it's going to be Speedball Mike Bailey, Jericho, and Commander in a trios match against Tommaso Ciampa, Dunkzilla Mark Davis, and Nick Wayne. Whatever, I don't give a shit about this at all. Moving on, another match I didn't give a shit about. Nigel McGuinness defeats Kyle O'Reilly. So it's going to be it's going to be John Moxley versus Nigel McGuinness in the Continental Classic. The Continental Challenge Cup. Whatever. I don't give a shit about this. This is pathetic. Who cares? It does not matter. Moving on from that, Don Callis is still on the show again, along with Kyle Fletcher. He says that there's always competition among alpha athletes, but at the end of the day, he expects his boys to run the play as called. Kyle Fletcher says he trusts Don Callis entirely, and he's absolutely willing to run the play at All In. And the question is whether Okada is willing to. So Okada shows up and says family is the most important thing, and Kyle can trust him. Kyle Fletcher asks him what exactly can he trust him to do, given that he was nowhere to be seen when Takeshita jumped him last week. Okada tells him he's always thinking about himself, but it's about family. Okay, whatever, who cares? Moving on, this leads us into 6-woman tag action. The Brawling Birds, Alex Windsor and Jamie Hayter in My World, they were defeated by Divine Dominion, Lena Cross, and Megan Bain, and Persephone. So, there's that. Divine Dominion and the Brawling Birds, they basically had a brawl towards the end of the match. This allowed for Persephone to hit the frog splash for the 1, 2, 3. So, whatever. I don't care about this at all. Whatever. Who gives a damn? Moving on, main event of the evening. I did not watch it because it was garbage as fuck. Swerve Strickland defeats Jungle Boy Jack Perry. I don't care about this at all. Who gives a damn? And that was it. So, Swerve got the win via the JML driver for the 1, 2, 3. No, my bad. AKA it's Big Pressure. So whatever. And then we get a music video for Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay, and that was it. Whatever. This was lame. This whole show was just lame as fuck. I really don't understand it. Pathetic. The NXT Go Home show for Heatwave was better than this shit that we got. And I don't know what to say at all. I really, really don't know what to say at all at this point in time. But there's nothing more that can be done, I don't know, man. I really don't, because I'm not really excited for really anything on the card outside of a couple of matches. And that's just being real, I don't really feel excited for much of anything on this show. So let's get into the predictions. So AEW All In takes place on Sunday, August 30th, live from London, England, and Wembley Stadium. We don't know how many people are going to be in attendance. I'm going to say probably a good, maybe 40,000, maybe 45,000 show up. But I'm going to go ahead and say a good 40 to 45,000 will show up. I may have to look into what WrestleTix is predicting or projecting at this point in time. We still got a few more days left because, scalpers are going to scalp the remaining days. So we got 4 days. So I would say by Saturday probably by Friday, tickets should be marked down tremendously, and more people will come in. But I don't really expect for any Americans to really be there. I think this is probably gonna be a full blown UK crowd. It's just that's just the way I feel. There might be some Americans there, maybe. I don't know, but I doubt it. All right, let's go ahead and get into the matches. It is 10 matches on the card. No, 9 matches on the card, and that's quite a bit. Oof. Let's just go ahead and get into this thing. Darby Allin versus Kevin Knight. Falls Count Anywhere. For the TNT Championship, I'm going to go with Kevin Knight winning. Well, actually, no. I'm going to go with Darby Allin winning. Well, no, I take that back. I'm gonna go with Kevin Knight winning, right? I think this feud should still continue. There's no need for it to end just because it's going to be a Falls Count Anywhere match at all. That doesn't strike to me an end of the feud. What strikes the end of a feud to me is like a last man standing match, or an I Quit match, or a steel cage match, or a 3 Stages of Hell match, or something like that. But just a random like Falls Count Anywhere match, that speaks to me that this thing is still going to continue, probably up until All Out. So I'm going to go with Kevin Knight retaining. Moving on from that, triple threat match for the AEW International Championship. Kyle Fletcher versus Tenosuke Takeshita versus Kazuchika Okada. I'm going to go with Kyle Fletcher retaining. And Okada is going to basically leave the Don Callis family. So there is that. Moving on from that, Divine Dominion, Megan Bayne and Lana Cross versus the Brawling Birds, Alex Windsor and Jamie Hayter for the AEW Women's Tag Team Championships. I'm going to go with the Brawling Birds. Why would they lose? And really and truly, this thing could have taken place on Dynamite or Collision. Moving on. Another thing that could have taken place on Dynamite or Collision, that being Jon Moxley versus Nigel McGuinness, Continental Challenge Cup Final for the AEW Continental Championship. I'm going to go with Nigel McGuinness. Why would he lose? They're in his backyard, basically. Same thing with the Brawling Birds. So, whatever. I don't care about this shit at all, either. Moving on. Edge and Christian versus the Young Bucks for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. Clearly, the Young Bucks are going to win this. Why would they lose? Yep. So, there's that. All right, moving on from that. This leads us into the Men's Casino Gauntlet, which I do expect there to be surprises in this thing. So maybe we see Sheamus show up in here, Dragunov show up in here, and that should really be about it. We should just get about maybe 2 surprises, nothing beyond that. And I think we probably will get some returns probably as well. So that's probably is when we'll see those guys pop up. It's in the Casino Gauntlet Battle Royal for sure. The winner will face, they'll get a shot at the AEW World Heavyweight Championship in due time. I'm going to go with MJF winning. Why would he lose? They're not going to use Andrade as a world title contender just yet. So they're going to go with MJF as the winner. It's going to probably be for All Out, MJF versus Will Ospreay. Because they're still running this running gag of MJF being the quote-unquote real world champion, which is, bullshit. And it's been done to death in pro wrestling. Like that, I'm so tired of that fucking angle. It's so damn dumb and stupid, but whatever. Willow Nightingale versus Mercedes Moné for the AEW Women's World Championship. I'm going to go with Mercedes Moné winning. I feel like it's kind of her time. Even though she's got the upper hand on Willow, you might as well just go ahead and give her the title now. If you don't want to, that's fine. As long as she gets the title, I'd say by All Out, I'm fine with it. So maybe you have Willow retain, and then you kind of end the feud in some type of like specialty match, like a Last Woman Standing or an I Quit match or something of the sort to end their feud. And so maybe you have Mercedes win it at All Out. So I'm going to go with Willow retaining now that I think about it. Moving on, the Casino Gauntlet Trios Battle Royal Roulette nonsense. Oh my gosh. So it's Hangman, Adam Page, and Bandito and Brodito versus the Bang Bang Gang, Jay White and the Guns, and the Conglomeration, and also the Man and the Dogs. And I assume there's gonna be some wild cards in there also. So I assume that's when we'll see the New Day, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. That's when we'll see them. That's fine. And who do I think will win? I don't know, and it really doesn't really matter to me. I'm going to go with Hangman and Bandito to win. They just won the titles. And the trio titles are really like the most useless titles in all of AEW, basically. All right, moving on from that. This leads us into the main event of the evening. Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay for the AEW World Championship. Will Ospreay needs to win this. It's time to go ahead and pull the trigger and see what can be done. If they don't give him the moment here, then they should damn sure give him the moment in the States and All Out. But I think they are going to go ahead and give him his moment here and now. Even though I've not really been a fan of this whole storyline, if we're being honest, but it is what it is. Nothing can be done at this point in time. But whatever, such is life. But I do think that Ospreay needs to win. And maybe you give him a decent title reign. Maybe you give him, I would do like a transitional reign as champion. Maybe give him like a 3-month reign as champion. Maybe you have him drop it at like either Full Gear or World's End. I would more so say World's End. Give him at least like a good 4-month reign as champion. I think that's fine. And I think that should happen, right? Because I still think that MJF should still be world champion. It should have kind of always been MJF versus Will Ospreay. If you wanted to add Kenny Omega in, you could have, have him win at Redemption when they had that pay-per-view last month. And then, you do the triple threat match, even though I'm opposed to triple threat matches, but sometimes they're okay. And maybe you have Ospreay beat MJF that way, which that would be fine. But it is what it is, man. But I'm going to go with Will Ospreay winning. So, all in all, it should be an okay show. I'm going to watch this alongside NXT Heatwave. I'm not sure when All In starts. I think it starts at 2 p.m. if I'm not mistaken. I think. And then I know at 3 p.m. it's going to be Heatwave. So I'm pretty sure that Tony's probably going to let this thing run for a good 4 to 5 hours, which is fine. The good thing about it is for us on the in the U.S., whether we're on the East Coast or the West Coast, we still get it at least in time. For us here on the East Coast, we'll get it at 2 p.m. And those of you on the West Coast will get it at 11 a.m., which is fine either way. So, there's that. I'm sort of kind of excited for All In. Not really too much outside of, Mercedes and Willow. I want to see how that's going to play out. I am kind of interested in the surprises that we are going to more than likely get. That should be fine. The main event, don't really care too much about that. We know Ospreay is winning. And everything else on the show, in my opinion, is just there. Like, who cares if the Young Bucks win? Like, who gives a fuck about them? But it is what it is. But what are your predictions for All In? And what did you think of the Go Home show? Let me know. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.